liberty in the fires of hope and prayer, with boundless faith in our destiny, we solemnly declare. Side by side we stand, islands of the blue Caribbean Sea, this our native land. We pledge our lives to thee. Here every creed and race find an equal place, and may God bless our nation. Here every creed and race find an equal place, and may God bless our
Heavenly Father, we come before you at the start of this new day, giving thanks for life, for health, and the opportunity to serve through this station. We ask for your divine presence to guide us in all we do. Bless this broadcast, that it may be a source of inspiration, joy, and unity to all who tune in. Whether near or far, may our words uplift, our music heal, and our message bring light to those who need it most. We pray for our listeners, wherever they may be. Grant them strength for the day ahead, peace in their hearts, and success in all they put their hands to. Cover those traveling with your protection, and those at home with your comfort and provision. Lord, may everything we do bring honor to you and be a blessing to others. Guide our steps, bless our efforts, and let this station be a vessel of positivity and hope. In your name we pray. Amen.
Your voice, your soundtrack, your station. New Era TT Radio. Net Radio.
On around 1974, to a mother named Calypso, Junior appeared to be so much more. Over the years he began to grow, but like his grandfather Pacalinda and grandmammy Sweet Cariso, the family traits of little boy soca could I never hide me just so. He is the head of the fetting class, the heart of the carnival. He's the jumping legs in the mass, the waistline causing bacchanal. A mother's child features cannot hide, and this everybody know. If you look real deep down inside, soca is the soul of Calypso. Let me hear you. Calypso is soca, and soca is Calypso. Sister Chutney and brother Raga, also born here in Trinidad. So you don't have to look no further. I'm sure everybody don't know. If one spirit in child and mother, soca in the soul of Calypso. Let me hear you. Rampa-dam-pa-dam-pa-da. Hey, rampa-dam-pa-dam-pa. Say rampa-dam-pa-dam-pa-da. Zim-ba-ba-da-ba-dum-dum. Rampa say, when I dead, bury me close. Mommy say Santi Manite. Soca sing bout Bahia girl and take the Kong Fantastic Friday. While mommy down south in Skinner Park, soca in tongue in stink and dirty Duvet. Say the both of them love to party in almost the very same way. Mommy love to be up in the tent while she's on jamming on radio. Mommy prefer a sit-down event. The son love a truck on the road. Even though things about them might differ, there's one thing every right. Yes, balancing whole night, feeling hot, hot, hot for sight. Dingo laying in share delight, from tying the head with cloth like Baptist to jumping and waving flag to and fro. Soca is a spiritual bacchanal, just like Calypso. Let me hear you. Calypso is soca, soca is Calypso. Sister Chutney and brother Raga, cousin Tassa compelling more. Say you don't have to look no further, I'm sure everybody don't know. If you're listening to sweet soca, you're bound to hear sweet Calypso.
Wake up, rise up. It's the Net Radio Breakfast Show, bringing you the energy, music, and vibes to start your day right.
I too was born 1974. They once called me a Calypso singer.
All right, everybody, good morning to you, and of course, welcome to it. Good to have you here on New Era TT Radio. Of course, we are happy to be here with you this morning. When you're going inside of your new work week, trust me, we're going to keep you company and make sure that all is well with you. So, Charles, that's me. And of course, this is your Get Up and Go. It's the breakfast show.
Yeah, 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 yeah. Yeah, 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 yeah. Wake up, it's a brand new dawn. The breakfast show got the vibes turned on. From Maracas Bay to the Savannah line, let's start the day in Caribbean prime. Good vibes rolling through the air. The breakfast show energy everywhere. We talk, we laugh, we make you think. Grab your doubles or your morning drink.
All right, so good morning on this Monday morning, a rainy Monday morning actually in Trinidad and Tobago, at least in Narima where we are, well, at least where I am, where Wendell is, I guess.
Rain pouring.
A rainy Monday morning, nothing worse than a rainy Monday morning when you have to get up early and head and start your traffic commute to wherever you're heading across Trinidad and Tobago this morning, and of course the wider Caribbean. But you know, it's a good morning to you all, and welcome to the breakfast show on Monday, the 5th of May, 2025. I want to say a special good morning to all of our listeners and viewers across the planet, and of course, in Trinidad and Tobago, and a special good morning to my co-host, Wendell Stephen.
Good morning, Richard Ragoobarsingh. Good morning, Sir Charles. Good morning, Trinidad and Tobago, and good morning, listeners and viewers all over this app. What is this? It's going to flood. You hearing that? Are you hearing it through my microphone?
Not really clearly, no.
I can now I can't hear properly because I think I need to start using my headphones. Anyway, good morning, everybody. And guess what? We are live. Richard, tell them where.
What's that?
Tell them where we are live. Because I'm watching us on TV.
Oh, you are? Yeah, well, I guess I can do this.
Great news, Caribbean. The Breakfast Show is now on M&E TV, bringing you entertaining conversations, vital information, and influential perspectives throughout Trinidad and Tobago and across the Caribbean region. Catch us on Digicel Channel 20, Flow Channel 111, Amplia Channel 117, Blink Channel 109, Tricode Channel 154, and Airlink Channel 10. The Breakfast Show connects with the Caribbean and Trinidad and Tobago like never before. We're now on M&E TV.
All right, so welcome to our M&E audience who are taking us in on cable stations across the Caribbean, not just in Trinidad and Tobago. So welcome to our viewing audience via cable, the cable networks, wherever you are across the Caribbean and in Trinidad and Tobago. And welcome to the Breakfast Show.
Mm-hmm. Of course, we are. Good morning to Peter Lewis and all the wonderful people who would have assisted in this transition. We are just over a month old. Last week, Friday, when we were here, we were exactly a month old. And I would have met quite a bit of people over the last few days who I would have had the pleasure of telling them, this is where you can find us. Well, guess what? you can now find us on your television set in your home. You understand? If you have Digicel, whether you have Digicel, you have Flow, whatever brand that's bringing streaming into your home, you can now look at us. And I'm
Exactly.
kind of dress up. I tell Richard how to get a blazer. You know, I don't know how to look now.
And you know, that can be our good. We can make that our good news, Wendell, that we're actually now streaming on M&E TV.
Yes, that indeed is our good news, that we are now streaming live on M&E TV, and we have Digicel channel 20, Flow channel 111. What's the channels for Blink and Ampere, Richard? Let me get it. I have it right here. Hold on.
Great news, Caribbean. The Breakfast Show is now on M&E TV, bringing you entertaining conversations, vital information, and influential perspectives throughout Trinidad and Tobago and across the Caribbean region. Catch us on Digicel Channel 20, Flow Channel 111, Amplia Channel 117, Blink Channel 109, Trico Channel 154, and Airlink Channel 10. The Breakfast Show connects with the Caribbean and Trinidad and Tobago like never before. We're now on M&E TV.
I think Amanda was doing a better job than you, so I said
yeah. Because I had to be looking down to find the ad.
Special good morning to Amanda Mitchell, of course, a newscaster and anchor for the Breakfast Show this morning. And of course,
But I have some other good news, people. Hold on, I have some other good news.
What's your good news, Wendell?
My
And it
other
better
good
be good.
news
It
is
better
that
be good.
Married and Mischievous is an absolutely awesome play. I went there, Stephen and I went yesterday. It played to packed Cipriani Labour College. It had standing room only last night. And boy, was it a raucous crowd. Led by none other than one of our listeners here, one of our contributors, Lincoln. Oh, Lord.
I didn't even know it was Lincoln. And it's only when you came backstage after when they really telling me, you know who that was. Because he gave a lot of commentary during the play. But you're right, it was a packed house.
Yes.
And of course, you could see why it was strictly adult, don't you, Wendell?
Yes. It's strictly adult people. I see Mrs. R and her mom there, and I see Mrs. R mom cringe the first time she hear. I say, Lord, Father, I wonder because I know Christy just let out them words there, but I don't know if her mom know it.
But it was we had a great audiences over the weekend on Saturday and Sunday. Yeah. And of course, because of that, we're extended for 2 more nights at Cipriani College next weekend. That's Saturday the 10th and Sunday the 11th of May. And of course, tickets will be on sale from tomorrow at all the usual outlets and the box office from Wednesday. You should not miss it. Mm-hmm. I'm telling you, when we say strictly adult, we mean strictly adult. Yeah. And of course, audiences are very interactive with the plays because it's about relationships. It's about marriages. And of course, it's about relationships. And I think a lot of people relate to the different couples. And of course, it's a lot of comedy and it's a lot of laughter, but it's also dealing with issues that people face and strictly for adults. I can't stress that enough.
Yeah. I mean, I related to every story there last night, but I said I had to stop telling Richard my business. Yes, it ended up in theater. But I specifically related to Craig. I felt sorry for Craig.
Oh, right.
Yeah, but he handled it well, you know. Not that I ever had Craig's problem, but
and if you're wondering, the show is on this weekend coming again, so you should get to see it. But as I said, strictly for adults, it's a Mother's Day weekend, so, you can bring your mother, but you need to tell her it's an adult show.
Yeah,
but,
tell your mom,
you would say, your mother will probably say, well, I'm more adult than you. I made you.
Yeah.
Been there, done that.
Yeah, it's a lot of construction language too. So just know that.
So, it was fun. It's a fun play, and thank you to all the audiences that came out over the weekend. I mean, we really had good houses over the weekend.
It really is a fun play, It really is a fun play. I think people laughed right through that play.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Basically, yeah. So that was our good news. Married and Mischievous and M&E TV. All right. So, of course, the biggest news in Trinidad and Tobago over the weekend was the swearing in of the new cabinet by the new government, because there's a new government in Trinidad and Tobago that was elected on Monday last week, basically a week ago. And if you didn't know that, then you're under a rock somewhere.
Yeah.
Welcome back to civilization. And so, yes, the government has changed. And so the UNC is now in power with 26 seats.
Well, 25 of the MPs got ministerial posts. 25 of the 26 MPs got ministerial posts.
Okay.
The only MP who didn't get a ministerial post is the new MP for Princestown, Dr. Aina Ali. She's the only MP that didn't take up a position in the government. So we are waiting to see what happens. And then there were 8 senators. So 25 of the MPs got positions and 8 senators were appointed.
Right. Could you go for our viewing and listening audience, could you go through, but before we go to that, I know you like to go through greeting all of the people on our feeds. Of course, we are simulcasting on YouTube, Facebook, streaming on TuneIn, and of course, we are also broadcasting on M&E TV across cable channels here and in the Caribbean. But if you could go through some of the comments, I know you like to greet a lot of people who come in from very early waiting on the show.
Suzanne Jessup came in from 3:37 a.m. She says, good morning. Sir Charles, Wendell, Richard, love always. Champion of democracy, child of God says, good morning, gentlemen. May God bless everyone this week and may his blessings overflow each one. Far Rockaway says, good morning and blessings to all. For New Era TT Radio says, blessed day. We sending messages to yourself. Yes. Blessed day, everyone. Stay productive. Melissa from Sharfless says, good morning. Boy Bidesi says, good morning. Miguel Gonzalez says, good morning. A lot of rain in Arima. Yes, Miguel. And it's almost impossible to hear sometimes. Marlon Motley says, good rainy morning. Robert Taylor, and he has a mister before it today, boy. Good morning, guys. Hope you all had a blessed weekend. We did, Robert. Slick Money Grip says, grand rising, gentlemen and crew. DL says, good morning, breakfast crew. Alyssa Hart, good morning, guys. Crime, okay, good morning. Sherwin Kerr says, from Rainy Arima, good morning to the breakfast team and all listeners and viewers. Ambrose Blah out there in Brooklyn, New York says, good morning to the breakfast crew. Lambert Bruce, good morning, guys. Cheryl Johnson from Diego Martin, blessed morning, guys. Pearl Cadiz, good morning, everyone. It's raining in San Rafael, I would imagine. Marcia Rock, pleasant good morning, gentlemen. Locked on in Orlando, Florida. Do have a great day. Ingrid from Tucson, Arizona says, good morning.
Good morning, Ingrid. Good morning, Marlon Motley.
Carol Guevara also sends good morning. Brent Hackshaw, Julia Batiste, Rena Boodoo Jennings, Mrs. R, Patricia Defoe, Michael Robinson from Yokohama, Japan, Trinidad Margot, Gail Ann, and the ultimate Shane. Way, that's a big one. And the two of them together, they have a, what's going on here? What kind of handle is that? So Gail Ann have a separate thing from the
keep reading the messages and stop getting distracted now. Good God.
Chris says good morning. I will get that pepper later. I know that. Island Girl, good morning. Congratulations, gentlemen. Steph says good morning, guys. Wayne Ramsey, good morning. Mrs. R. Pearl Cadiz again. Doreen Pierre, good morning. Beauty Culture, morning, guys. Katian Thompson, good morning, gentlemen. Congrats on the progress made in such a short time. We want to thank you very much, and we're making this progress because of people like you all. Cheryl Seeley says, good morning. Blessings, everyone. Richard Jeremiah, I remember you. Siobhan Shogun, Farisha Mohammed, good morning, everyone. CJ from New York, good morning. We have lots of greetings.
Good morning, CJ.
Kazim Mohammed says, no volume on TV. Okay, Kazim, we'll check that out. J97 says, good morning, guys. Ron DeSantis Jr. says, good morning, gentlemen. Wendell, yeah, okay. Annie Bonnier, we're going to talk about that a little later. And Marcel Johnson says, good morning. All right? So those are all our greetings.
And that's just some of it. Oh, it's a lot of comments that come in from early o'clock. So good morning, guys, and thanks so much for joining us so early on the stream. We appreciate you. Yeah. So getting on to the brass tacks of what happened. So over the weekend.
For the person who said there's no volume on TV, I'm watching it. I have my TV on Flow Channel 111, and there is volume.
Yeah. So
Kazim
the cabinet
Mohammed, Kazim Mohammed said that.
Yeah. So the cabinet was appointed. The cabinet was appointed over the weekend, as well as the government senators, right, Wendell?
Yes, they were.
And I don't think the opposition senators have been appointed yet, have they?
No.
Right. So that'll be also another, I don't want to say another set of bacchanal, but let's say that for the purposes of, who is going to get the senatorships. Yeah. Who is going to get the senatorships under the People's National Movement. But in terms of the UNC, I don't know if you could go through the list. I mean, the list of ministers is exhaustive. I don't think people want to sit down here and hear 26 names read out. But certainly the senators, if you have that list.
Yeah, well, we have Senator John Jeremy, who's the Attorney General.
Yes.
We have, who are the other senators? We have, Senator Kennedy Swarat-Singh. He is Minister of Economic Affairs and Development, Planning, Economic Affairs and Development. We also have Senator, what's his name? Is he a senator? I don't think he's a senator. Senator Leroy Batiste, Minister of Labor. We have Senator Eli Zaku, who's Minister of Transport and Civil Aviation. We also have Senator, where are the other names? Senator Ravi Ratiram, he is Minister of Agriculture, Lands and Fisheries. Senator Prakash Prasad is Minister of Tertiary Education and Skills Training. We have Senator Dominic Smith, who's Minister of Public Administration and Artificial Intelligence. We have Senator Anil Roberts, who is Minister in the Ministry of Housing. And we also have Senator Dr. Natalie Chaitan Maharaj, who is a parliamentary secretary in the... But she can't be a parliamentary secretary, people. I kept saying this on Facebook the other day. If she contested a seat and lost it, she can't be a parliamentary secretary. She can be a minister in the ministry. To be a parliamentary secretary, you would have had to be part of the parliament, win a seat. At least that's how I know it. But she is minister in the Ministry of the People, Social Development and Family Services. So those are our senators, 9 in all, the Attorney General inclusive.
So David Nackett wasn't made a senator this time around?
No.
And, Philip Alexander?
Nope.
Philip Alexander, for those of you who don't know, Philip Alexander was one of the third-party coalition of interest, or whatever they called it, in terms of joining the UNC. But he's been pretty vocal. So you expected that he would have gotten something.
He's been vocal to the point of disrespectful and disgusted.
Well, yes.
That's how vocal he has been.
Yeah, I mean, he alienates a lot of people.
And if I had anything, I don't have anything to do with it, but I think it's a good move by Kamala Prasad-Biswas. Keep him out.
So
one other person she should have keep out to her, but I would say nothing for now.
But you know, Wendell, you know how politics works. Everybody wants to get something out of supporting you. And it's something that political parties grapple with, especially in terms of those positions. Of course, you will have a rollout of other positions in terms of state boards and stuff where people will be appointed to different state boards. They use all of that as kind of, I'm using the word goodies, but that's what they do. They give it out as goodies across the board. Both parties do it. It's nothing, it's nothing new. That's what they do. Mm-hmm. So state boards will be populated by people who supported you or who you're giving a goodie to. So you take that board, you could be a director of this board, you could take this chairmanship, blah, 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 blah. That's how it goes, they sort it out.
Yes. So, but there are still seven senators to be named also.
To be named,
the government senate is 16. But clearly, those 7 senators will be backbenchers, if you know what I mean. They'll be just senators because they've named the ministerial team. Well, no, actually, she did say somebody who's supposed to be the Minister of Trade is abroad, and they'll be appointed when they come back. So that might also be a senator. Because, as I said, the only MP that has not been appointed in a position is Dr. Aina Ali from Princestown. All the other MPs got a position.
I know this is absolutely not the person, but my brain went immediately to Kizelle Jackson. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning, Kizelle.
So who?
When you said abroad, my brain just went to Kizelle Jackson because she's been doing videos from abroad. She's been in Singapore, etc., and she's doing she was in Luxembourg and stuff like that. So that's where my brain went. I know obviously it's not her because she has her own political party, but that's where my brain went.
Well, she said she don't want to part of UNC either when they call her to join up.
But she said she wanted no part of either of the main parties, the PNM or the UNC. And so it is what it is.
It's double M. People saying it's double M. I don't know how true it is.
I don't think so.
And he said he was interested in government, in serving.
As a minister?
Well, where else he going to serve at this time, at this stage?
A minister is a hefty portfolio, huh?
But he qualifies, he's academically qualified there,
Yes, he could go into culture,
Well, according to the late Patrick Manning, all you need is what? Common sense.
Level head and common sense.
Level head and common sense, and you could be a minister. Of course, many people have disagreed with that since.
Yeah, that was when he appointed Howard Chinley Minister of National.
Like he said it. I
will never forget that.
But he said it.
Yes, he did.
So we'll see how it all plays out in terms of that cabinet. Of course, we have guests on this morning. We have Dr. Bishnu Ragoonath, who will be joining us in the next hour. And he will, of course, he's a political scientist, a senior lecturer at UWI, actually, in political science, and also chairman of the
Council for Ethical Behavior.
Yeah, Council of Ethical Behavior, Ethical Political Behavior.
Yeah.
Which I think the UNC withdrew from, or didn't they?
They did.
It did. So I'm sure he'll have a lot to say. And then following that, we're going to have an interview with Steven Cadiz, who
also had a lot to say.
Who had a lot to say. And he was a former minister under the People's Partnership government. Yes. So he would have some intimate knowledge in terms of the leadership style of the current prime minister, because he would have sat in cabinet. And
he was very critical, Richard.
I know he would have said some comments over the weekend in terms of the cabinet nominees and stuff like that.
Well, first he was critical of the swearing in starting an hour late, because I was watching it on television and I'm watching and saying we're wondering what's going on here, what's the kickback, Yeah. And then we found out that there was an accident, but I don't know how an accident could keep back a prime minister from reaching anything on time. Because prime minister details, they will go through the forest to get you on time.
They could almost go through the Red Sea. The Red Sea will part for them, at least they think so. It mightn't, but they will try. Mm-hmm. They will try with their sirens. Red Sea part!
Yeah. And they out there, hands out the window, so moving up that. What? They're not easy though. Move aside. Move, let me pass.
Yeah. But somehow I get the feeling there was a little more than that taking place.
Well,
thanks to Charles.
But so Charles.
Obviously, it was more than just 2 accidents. I think for a lot of people, it was obviously more than that. But you have to take
an hour waiting.
You have to take the excuse as it was given, and maybe it was blocked entirely, that main artery. I don't know. Southerners would be able to weigh in on it.
They said there were 2 accidents along the Solomon Hotel.
Right, which kept back a lot of the traffic. So it's a legitimate excuse.
Well,
To me, it's legitimate.
Well, it sounds legitimate.
Yeah, to me, it's a legitimate excuse. So we have to accept it as being legitimate until otherwise proven that it was not. I would accept it as being legitimate because she is the prime minister, and this was a very important function to select your members of cabinet. So I didn't, even though social media was rife with conspiracies. I was just like, if she said I was what it is, I will accept it until there is evidence otherwise, I would accept that that's what it
You
was.
know what people have to, accept also too, and I accept that because God knows I was married, so I know how women take the time. Do you see the clock with women? It don't matter. You understand? And we have a woman prime minister again, so things will slow her down. She will want to be sure. She will try on 3, 4, 5 dress, 6, 7, 8 shoes. You know, the makeup goes no, you have to that woman.
But she will have I'm assuming she would have her own makeup artist.
Yeah, but we don't know.
She would have her own, people to deal with all of that.
Yeah.
But anyway, it is what it is. It started late. And we had some date. I saw that the Minister of Finance, the new Minister of Finance, is it Minister Tanku?
Dave Tanku, Devendranath Tanku.
Right. And Minister Tanku, of course, we have to get familiar with all of these names now, in terms of all of these portfolios. Minister Tanku said, well, according to the social media, let me qualify it by saying that, said certain things like there was going to be which is one of the planks which the UNC ran, promises that they ran on, that property tax would be axed. And he's saying that people who paid property tax, it would be refunded. That was one of the posts I saw on social media. I don't know if it's true.
I found that a curious statement by him.
If it's true, I don't know if it's true.
But he said it. There's a recording of him saying it.
Oh, of him saying it. That
yes, I sent it to you.
Yeah.
I sent it to you.
Okay, if people who paid the property tax, they would be refunded because, of course, this government ran on the position that they were going to cancel that property tax. The Prime Minister also said that she is scrapping the Trinidad and Tobago Revenue Authority. That was one of the, I think, some of the most important legislation that they're going to bring quickly, according to what I read. According to what they read, was what I read in social media and stuff was the stand your ground legislation. Legislation to make firearm ownership easier in terms of the process. Because I think that's one of their planks for this election. In addition to, they did say they were going to stop taxes on private pensions and state pensions. That people who get private pensions and state pensions, they would not be taxed. If they are taxed, because many people don't get a pension above 7.5, and 7.5 is the personal allowance that you're allowed that is not taxed. A lot of pensioners don't get above 7.5, but there are some who do, and you have private pensions that may be above that too. Yeah. So I know senior citizens who are in that category would welcome not having to pay tax on their pensions. So all of these are some of the things, and of course we will continue to try to get the Attorney General to have a conversation with us, so he will go through what would be his most important pieces of legislation on his table, if he's willing to tell us what are the key markers that they're going to start with in terms of legislation when the parliamentary session opens.
But one of the things that she also said at the swearing in the other day too was about the Dragon Gas deal, that there are other areas to explore of Grenada. And I saw messages, I saw posts after on the weekend that the Dragon Gas deal was off. I'm not sure if that was accurate. So I can't say that. I don't know that I heard Mrs. Prasad say it was off completely, but she did say. But
I don't think we have ultimately we don't have a say in the sense that we have to negotiate with the United States to see if they will give back those OFAC licenses. So that will be an ongoing process unless the United States articulates there is no way in hell you're getting back those licenses, then of course it's off. At least for the next 4 years. So,
but the issue of Grenada, exploring Grenada, apparently is not a new thing. It was already being done. And I suspect, because MP Stuart Young has called a press conference today, it came on the ballot.
That's another thing, Wendell. Yeah. What would that be about?
Well, that's everybody speculating, because guess what? I thought I found it strange that an MP would call a press conference. One, but then I realized it was on the Balize House letterhead, and it was captioned at the bottom. It ended at the bottom, Secretariat. So which means it came from Balize House as opposed to coming from MP Stuart Young himself and his office.
But so isn't that weird? Isn't that weird? Because when you sent it to me, And when I read that media statement, I don't know, but I do. Wendell, you should go because, of course, you know, Balize House welcomes you with open arms anytime you go in. The only thing they don't do is roll out the red carpet. But you could go to Balize House to that media conference, and you could get the Zeppy, not only the Zeppy of what's said on camera, but the Zeppy of what's going on behind the scenes. Come back and tell us. But it was weird because when I saw that press release yesterday, I'm like, what would Stuart Young be going to talk about at a press conference a little over a week after the election? And you have been replaced, in a sense, as the leader because you were prime minister and you're not the opposition leader. Penelope Beckles Robinson is, who we interviewed last week. So what are you going to talk about? Is it energy?
I feel it's that. I feel it's about that particular statement that was made concerning Grenada and whatnot. That's how I feel. I don't see Stuart Young calling a whole press conference. So I don't see Stuart Young resigning.
But Wendell, even if it's that, why would you call a press conference for that? Why not just a statement?
I don't know. We'll find out.
Because a press conference, you know, elevates it to the level of something worthy of media people leaving their desks and their lunches.
Well, it's a different style, eh? It's a different. Everybody will have their own style, eh?
And no, I get that, but it still, it didn't strike you as weird.
Yes, it did.
Yeah, because I was
but then again, as I said, I looked for who it came from. It didn't actually come from Stuart Young. You understand? It came from the Balize House Secretariat. You understand?
That means nothing to me and to all of the other listeners listening who are not in the bowels and guts of the PNM. That means nothing.
I don't know why
Secretariat signed it. All we know is that Stuart Young is having a media conference today, and we want to know why.
Richard, I don't know why the word bowel and guts just sounded so cringeworthy. It just rubbed me the wrong way. I said, what is he saying?
Okay. But you know you are in the intestines of the
people. No, I'm not. No. If I was, trust me, I wouldn't be sitting down here today trying to revamp. And thanks to you all again. Listen, we have listeners and viewers now like we have never seen before. Thanks to you all have me back on radio. Eh?
You know what?
I'm not going past a month.
You know what? Let me get through the headlines. We are passing time for our headlines of the daily newspapers. I'm going through the 3 daily newspapers in Trinidad and Tobago. I'm going to give the headlines. And then Wendell, we can take some calls from some of our listeners and viewers as to what they think, not only with the media conference, but generally about the cabinet picks and stuff like that. Because our guests in the next hour, of course, are going to tackle those topics. So let me start with the Newsday for today. The Newsday for today, of course, today is Monday, May 5th. And the main headline, Kamla gives thanks to TNT. UNC celebrates election victory across the country. Government bets on Grenada's nutmeg gas field. So you're right, maybe it's connected to that one though. And there's a picture of the Prime Minister with a lot of young children posing for a picture. Everybody looks so happy and victorious, and they should feel happy because they did a great campaign to get
Anti-Cans is back.
On the back page of the Newsday, sports. What's ready to get ball rolling? And of course, that's the new Sport and Youth Affairs Minister, eager to begin work. Legions and Breakout League prelims on top. I don't know Philip Watts so well, Wendell. Do you know him well?
No, I don't know him very well. I know he was chairman of La Hoqueta Talparo under the PNM, chairman of the constituency under the PNM for a long time. Eh?
How much PNM people in the UNC now?
Plenty.
Well, they had a drain. Somebody unplugged a drain and it was going that way.
We empty the bowels.
So anyway, that's in front of the back of the Newsday. Let me go to Trinidad and Tobago Guardian for today. Roger ready to work. And of course, that's Roger Alexander, the Minister of Homeland Security. Because yes, that's something we did not discuss. The Ministry of National Security has been split in two.
Yep.
The Ministry of Defense, which is occupied now by the Minister of Defense, which is Wayne Sturge. And the Minister of Homeland Security, wonder where they got that name from.
Yes,
Roger Alexander.
Mm-hmm.
And so people were kind of confused. What does the Ministry of Defense mean? Are you in charge of the Defense Force? And what do you do in that ministry? And the Ministry of Homeland Security. Of course, hopefully we're going to get all of these people to come on the show to discuss these portfolios and what they mean, because I think Trinidad and Tobagonians want to know what does it mean? What are you going to do? They need
to explain what each ministry is going to be taking charge of, because it's a lot of ministries now, eh?
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
So anyway, that's the headline. Newly appointed Homeland Security Minister sends warning to criminals. The leadership styles of Manning and Rowley, there's a special report on that, and the Trinidad and Tobago Guardian, and man shot dead in Cunupia. And on the back page, Legions back as winners. And going straight to the Daily Express this morning, high hopes for Grenada gas. That's the headline that the Daily Express went with. Energy chamber, exciting opportunity for TNT if gas field off Caribbean island can be developed. And of course, we'll have to speak to some people in the energy sector about this, because I had never known about this nutmeg gas field being something that we should have targeted. It wasn't a conversation that was current in terms when we have been discussing the gas fortunes of Trinidad and Tobago, has it?
Sorry?
The whole issue of Grenada gas, that hasn't been a conversation that has been in the public sphere as prominently as it is now.
No, it wasn't. It wasn't prominently, but it was mentioned prior by the government, the previous government. But I don't. It wasn't prominent. You're absolutely right.
Yeah. Bali, cabinet positions do not guarantee autonomy. And of course, on the back page, Bodo on the job, health minister, children with disabilities, a priority. So that's also on the back page, because the Express doesn't do a sports on the back page. They continue with news. So you have to go into the newspaper to get back the sports news. Legions advance. The day say 13 star for TNT against Windwards. Russell slams half century in KKR victory over Royals, and Hector and Joseph Power Leeward Islands women past Barbados. So of course, that's it for our three dailies this morning. And this is a point at which you can open up the lines and get some calls from people who are listening and viewing. And well, I could put on the ticket tape at this point. Of course, you can call us at this point, 281-1315. Of course, if you're outside Trinidad and Tobago, you'll have to use the code 860. And you can WhatsApp call us or direct call us in terms of giving your opinion on the cabinet picks, whatever we discussed this morning. You know?
Let me say good morning whilst we're waiting on the call to a few other people. Candice Pascal, Meb Boss Lady, Christopher Eastman, Scorpion Pepper, Terence Roach, Kelcha Cambridge, Brent Hackshaw, DL, of course, and D. Allen Projects. All right, thanks for continuing to join us on the best show on radio. All right.
Okay, so callers start to come in, and yeah. So good morning, caller.
Hey, good morning, gentlemen.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I happen to notice that on election day, woman throat was slit in Cunupia, and it was a minor story in a newspaper. And I'm listening to you all there just now there, and I happened to notice that the shooting was 4 stories into the news reading. So I'm wondering if crime on the back burner now, it slowed down, or if it stopped, right? Or if
we know it ain't stopped.
Headlines now.
We know it ain't stopped.
So what is the strategy? We stop mentioning it at the headlines.
Well, you had to ask the print media that.
You'll have to ask editors that, but I suppose they decided that the gas story is the main story at this point.
The election story.
Well, Lincoln, you said, why are you surprised? You were around so long. Why are you surprised?
Well, I just pointed it out and mentioned it, Wendell. I just mentioned it.
Yeah, that's not surprising to me.
I don't know.
I saw WhatsApp circulating that suggests that Homeland Security would be responsible for police, prisons, fire, all the land forces, and Ministry of Defense will be responsible for Coast Guard, Air Guard, and the sea forces, like air and sea forces. I don't know how true the things come over WhatsApp that may not be facts, but I need to see something from the UNC caucus that is what it is.
Yeah.
Because
I saw that
together.
Yeah. I saw that Lincoln.
Right, thank you, Lincoln.
It was missing two important arms of national security: immigration and forensics. So I think somebody just make up something and put it out there.
Good morning, caller.
I lost it. Go ahead.
All right, so you can call us at 281-1315, 281-1315. You can WhatsApp call us or direct call us.
Caller, good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I'm calling to give a voice opinion on election.
Caller, what you doing?
I listen to the program right now. I don't know if it's that station I'm calling.
Yeah, well,
yes, you're calling the correct station. And I know other station to listen to this hour.
No, hear what? I will like the Kumoto election take campaign Budu. I would like them to take it over.
All right, but he lost, you know.
A recount because I noticed Lupino get a recount and Malabar get a recount.
Okay, so calling for
the political party has to ask for the recount. It's not up to the any and everybody. The political party who lost or who won in some cases would have to ask for that recount, and they didn't ask for a recount in that.
That time it's gone.
That window of opportunity is probably gone anyway.
Hello, good morning, caller.
Good morning.
Welcome.
Morning. I'm calling from Arima.
Hi.
Yeah, go ahead, Arima.
Okay. I just want to say I'm finding it a bit curious that the finance minister is making a statement that from Monday he'll be looking into the finances of the country. But on top of that, a set of promises have been made. So am I to believe that the UNC wasn't aware of the finances of the country?
Well, that's something we discussed last week. And
Richard, the volume.
A question there, caller. Or you're just making a statement?
No,
I think he's just asking a rhetorical question.
Yeah. Well, you know what? I suppose, in all honesty, they have to wait until they really get there to see what is available. You can have an idea.
Okay.
Yeah.
So when you see what is there and you can't fulfill what you promised, where are we going to?
Well, you can't fulfill it.
You can't fulfill it.
It would have been just a mama guy then.
Yes.
Well, we will see how it all plays out.
Yeah.
But connected to that,
Thanks very
I
much.
don't know why Richard is so low. Richard's volume just dropped completely.
Drop down like that.
okay, is it better now?
Yes, it's better now.
Okay, sorry. Can I just play this clip, at least a bit of it, that will help to contextualize what that caller just talked about?
So finance has been mandated. We need to find out what is the state of the treasury before we can run off to put what you said, the words follow the talk. You must just not just talk the talk, we must walk the walk. I can only know that by Monday. My Minister of Finance and my Minister of Planning put their heads together and let us see what we can do in terms of what is there. And then my Minister of Trade and all the other ministries that will work towards getting revenue streams into our country. We have to find money, we have to make money, and just together work hard. And in that regard, we must never forget our sister island, Tobago.
I'm not so sure, Wendell, and this is just me, I'm not so sure why everybody's so serious. Everybody looks
like who?
Everybody in that press conference that surrounds her, they look very glum, and I don't know why, because you just were victorious, and you were victorious by a huge margin, and I guess and yes, the Prime Minister is talking about something serious, but everybody looks so almost, I don't know.
The reality.
You're not seeing, you would think there would be happy faces. This is just me because you have been so victorious, but maybe I'm just, I don't know, maybe it was the occasion was very somber.
But to make a statement like that, I mean, Mrs. Kamala Prasad says it's clear that she ain't broken no kind of nonsense from anybody in this wrongs, right? It's clear that she tried to signal
she's sending out that narrative.
She's sending out that message that listen, is what I say goes now, right? But then you've just appointed a huge cabinet without knowing the finances either. So that to me is what kind of threw me.
But isn't that a normal process? Most people, when they sway in a government, they will put in their people, and then when they get into the ministries, they will know what is going on.
Yeah, but
Sir Charles, I buy that up to a certain point, and which was a conversation that we brought up with, who was it, Wendell?
But Rishi?
Was it Rishi or was it Mariano? I can't remember.
Well, we would have brought it up with all the people who would have
that you Indira Sajawan, that you must have a sense, because it was Marlene Atz, Dr. Atz, that you must have a sense of what's going on because you get the reports. You get the central bank reports, you sit on JSE committees, you have a sense of what Standard & Poor's and what the IMF Article 4 reports are on Trinidad and Tobago. So that paints a pretty clear picture of what the revenue streams are, where the state of the economy is. So you cannot just go in and say, well, I was completely blindsided. I had no clue what the finances and what the economic well-being of the country was, or what the economic status of the country is, because you would have been privy to all of those reports as the opposition.
Yeah. But if you go back and call every committee out, even when remember when in 2015 when the government took over, and it's only after they got there, isn't it, Colin Nimber said we only had money for 3 days or something like that?
Yes, because
that's how politicians do it. But Sir Charles, they must know, but they use it. But you are privy to a lot of what you're privy. I mean, maybe you don't, but I can't see, or you can't know the actual numbers because all of these are public documents.
All right, let's take the couple calls very quickly. Caller, good morning.
Good morning, gentlemen. Norfolk, Virginia here. Quick question. And the reason why you're seeing everybody so glum, mommy said, hey, she ain't taking no nonsense. If you don't perform, you're out, maybe. I don't know. But here's my two quick questions to you. One, most governments, most nations are now shrinking government and lowering expenditure, and I see she's expanding. And number two, Wayne Sturge, he's been put, I think, in Ministry of Defense or something like that. And I would have thought somebody like Captain Sawat Singh, I think he was a captain or something in the army. And does Mr. Sturge have any type of military or law enforcement background or anything for that position, or is it just because he's a lawyer? And last
none that we know of. This is a good question. Pardon me? I say it's a good question, but none that we know of.
Oh, okay, right. And lastly, here, just being a little bit facetious. I think with the word on the ground I hear here is that as far as having makeup artists and stuff, I hear on the ground folks saying that, well, she's covered as far as that is concerned, in and out of Parliament. Anyway, have a good day, gentlemen.
All right. To me, there's nothing wrong with that. There is PR is a very important part of governance now in the 2025. How you look and how you dress and how you do projection, because you are subject to constant social media posts and stuff. So having a team that deals with that, I see nothing wrong with that.
All right, Kola, you there?
When they had made noise about her having her sister as a nurse, I was one of the people who defended it. I say, but
I didn't have an issue with that either. I didn't have an issue with it. Yeah, I didn't.
All right, let's go to the poll now.
Well, I have a suggested poll, but Wendell may have one. But
I get to have an opinion on this show.
Yeah, of course you do, Wendell. But this was my suggested poll in the anyway, this was my suggested poll.
Let me see what poll. I see morning POLL and I could have swear I see another word.
You need to cleanse your mind and turn to Jesus. That's what you need.
Are you confident with former Inspector Roger Alexander as the Minister of Homeland Security that there will be an improvement in the crime problem? Well, they did say 6 months, eh?
It did.
But he warned people who are in gangs now to leave the gangs. So, yeah, let's see. That's a good question. I'll go with it morning poll.
Okay. Thank you, sir. Thank you, boss.
Yeah. I'll go with it. It's kind of lengthy, but...
So are you confident that with former Inspector Roger Alexander as the Minister of Homeland Security that there will be an improvement in the crime problem? Or there'll be a reduction in crime, I guess.
Reduction in crime, yes.
Yeah, that there'll be a reduction in crime. So that's our poll this morning. What says you?
All right.
You can start voting. And of course, you can vote via the comment section on Facebook and YouTube. So you can just put your votes there. We'll get them. Or you can call us at 2811315. You can call in your vote too via WhatsApp or by direct call. So the voting has begun.
And I want to say this quickly before I go to the votes, right? And because I'm sending out this message to Clyde Elder and Ernesto Kesa in particular. They won 2 seats for the UNC that the UNC didn't stand a chance of winning otherwise, right? Clyde Elder and Ernest. And today they are junior ministers. And Leroy, but he's coming as a minister. I don't like that.
You trying to stoke Bacchanal?
Yes.
That's what you're trying to do. You're trying to stoke Bacchanal.
Caller, good morning.
Yeah, good morning. Good morning.
Yeah, what say you and the poll caller? With poll time right now.
I wanted to make a statement on the cases that you refer to as glum. I think what is happening here is that the stage is being set to let the country know that UNC has won, but a lot of us will have to lose. Because this...
All right.
Caller,
we'll take it in the second hour.
Yeah, we'll take your comment in the second hour. How do you vote on the poll? Yes or no?
We're going to do the poll. So caller, in the next hour, we'll take some calls and you can come in. You can come in there and make your point.
What is your question on the poll?
Do you think Roger Alexander, former Inspector Roger Alexander, will make a difference to the crime problem as a Minister of Homeland Security?
Yeah. As in a reduction.
Not at all.
Right. So that's a no, Richard.
Yeah, I got it. So
Champion of Democracy, Child of God says yes. Steve Waterman says no. Boy Bidesi says yes. Kazim Mohammed says no. Sean Victor didn't vote. Dale Devin didn't vote. Jennifer Johnson Bikari says yes. DL says no. Rosette Smith says no. Allen, you didn't vote. Lester Cragwell didn't vote. What? Folks, you're supposed to be voting now. You see
no, it's voting. Let's take the call while you pause there a minute, Wendell. Caller, good morning to you.
Good morning. Fargo here. Naturally, I would say yes to the poll. We have to give them time. They haven't gone to work for the morning as yet. So we have to give them time. Okay, I say yes.
All right. Thank you very much, Far Rockaway.
Joyce Phillips says no. Gregory Boyle says no. Carol Guevara, no. Dale Devin says yes. Sean Victor says yes. Diane Payne says no. Julia Batiste says yes. Cheryl Seeley says no. Jaron Joseph says no. Rena Abudu Jennings says no. Michael Robinson says yes. Beauty Culture says no. Wayne Joseph says no. Lester Cragwell, no. Virginia Bechu, yes. Sean Victor, yes. And Ron DeSantis, yes.
All right. I have something. You want to take it now or you want to take it after?
No, go ahead.
All right. So we have Blackbird who enjoyed the show last night also.
Right. Richard, take off one of those yeses. Sean Victor say he didn't say yes to the poll.
Okay.
Sean Victor, you're getting a little miserable. Gerald Polonais says no. Oh, Wendell, correct that. I said no. All right. Sean Victor says no.
Yeah. Go ahead, answer, John.
Right. So Blackbird says no. Far Rocker already voted yes. Frank says yes. Afia says yes. Captain Ron says no. Pauline says yes. Sexy Red says yes. And Anand says yes.
Guys, Marie, texting her?
All right, and I'll give you a quick
Wayne
call.
Ramsey, I have some more here, Sir Charles. Wayne Ramsey said no. Slick Money Grip, no. Adrian Kutu, yes. Gerald Darlington, yes. All right, those are all our votes on that.
Call out very quickly. Good morning.
I say yes to the poll on Alexander.
Okay. Right. Thank you very much.
Time for our news, guys.
Yeah.
All right, so when we come back, we'll take some of the remaining votes before we go to our interview with Dr. Bishnu Ragoonath. But of course, news is next on The Breakfast Show.
The news you need, the clarity you deserve. Local, regional, global. This is Net Radio News Now.
Good morning. This is Amanda Mitchell with the news on New Era TT Radio for Monday, May 5th, 2025. Prime Minister Kamla Persad-Bissessar's new cabinet has begun its first full week in office after being sworn in at President's House. The administration features 25 ministries with several structural changes from the previous government. John Jeremy serves as Attorney General, while Davendranath Tanku takes on the crucial portfolio of Minister of Finance. Dr. Rudal Munalal heads the Ministry of Energy and Energy Industries, with Ernesto Quisar serving as minister in that ministry. The national security portfolio has been divided into two distinct ministries, with Roger Alexander as Minister of Homeland Security and Wayne Sturge as Minister of Defense. The Tobago People's Party has reaffirmed it will not join Prime Minister Persad-Bissessar's cabinet. TPP Deputy Political Leader Dr. Faith Brebnor stated, "Our MPs are there to negotiate for Tobago, not to join anyone's cabinet." She emphasized that the party's two representatives will vote independently on issues affecting Tobago. The Prime Minister has promised to work with the Tobago House of Assembly on long-delayed autonomy legislation, stating, "We'll be looking at a model that truly reflects what we sing in our anthem. Side by side we stand, Trinidad and Tobago." A 21-year-old woman is recovering after being stabbed multiple times during an attempted robbery on the El Socorro walkover. The victim was walking towards DHL when a man tried to grab her handbag. When she resisted, the assailant stabbed her in the back, neck, and scalp before fleeing empty-handed. The woman's father took her to hospital, where she remains in stable condition. She is expected to undergo a CT scan as Barataria police continue their investigation. WASA reports repairs are progressing at the Matura water treatment plant following a shutdown caused by adverse weather and mechanical failure. Affected communities include Matura, Salibia, Pierre Street, Grey Trace, Orozco Bay Road, and Mendoza Street. Full restoration is expected by Thursday, with truck-borne water being distributed in the interim and a temporary supply schedule in place for Toco, Matura, and Salibia. You're listening to news on New Era TT Radio. In business news, two leading business organizations have welcomed the appointment of the new cabinet while calling for urgent action on economic reform. The Trinidad and Tobago Chamber of Industry and Commerce said it looks forward to meaningful engagement with the government on critical policy areas, including trade facilitation, ease of doing business, and economic diversification. The Energy Chamber highlighted the need to accelerate new gas field development, warning that without investment in new gas developments, the future of Trinidad's energy sector is uncertain, with serious implications for government revenue and foreign exchange availability. In international news, Brazilian police have thwarted a bomb attack planned for Lady Gaga's concert on Copacabana Beach in Rio de Janeiro. Authorities arrested the alleged mastermind and a teenager involved in the plot, which police say was aimed at gaining notoriety on social media. The concert, which drew over 2 million attendees, was secured by 5,000 officers with metal detectors, drones, and facial recognition cameras. Lady Gaga's team stated they learned about the threat only from media reports the morning after the event. That brings us to the end of our headlines for today. I'm Amanda Mitchell for New Era TT Radio. The Breakfast Show with Wendell, Richard, and Sir Charles continues right after this short break. And to our viewers watching via the stream on M&E TV across all local cable providers, thank you for joining us.
That was News Now. Stay informed with new Era TT Radio, Net Radio.
Center offers comprehensive and non-invasive diagnostic testing, which indicates the nature and extent of diseases and tests your nutritional levels. Our quick testing can identify early signs of problems by evaluating many of the bodily functions, such as male and female sexual function, gastrointestinal function, liver function, kidney function, thyroid function, heart and brain function, and also cancer testing. Results are comparable with other medical lab tests without the use of needles or embarrassing specimen cups, and is pain-free. We also offer all natural treatments. Visit us now at number 79 St. Vincent Street, Trinidad, or call 492-7397 or 289-6363.
Wake up with the Net Radio Breakfast Show. Rise and shine with Wendell Stephen and Richard Ragoobarsingh, weekdays from 6 o'clock to 9 a.m. Start your day feeling good, energized, and informed as we tackle the biggest issues of the day, get you where you need to be on time, and keep you in the know about everything that matters. We bring you insightful discussions, expert analysis, and the latest updates so you're always ahead of the curve. Mornings matter. Your voice matters. And it all starts right here on New Era TT Radio, Net Radio. The Net Radio Breakfast Show, weekdays 6 to 9 a.m. Wake up informed and stay ahead.
Just got better. You're locked into Net Radio Breakfast Show. Fuel your day with the best music and real talk.
Well, everybody, welcome inside our number 2 of the breakfast show right here on the Era TT Radio and METV. Hi guys, so we are back on the inside as we welcome everybody back to the second segment.
Good morning again, Trinidad and Tobago. This is your weather update for Monday, the 5th of May, 2025. Today, sunshine will be interrupted at times by partly cloudy spells with a few light to moderate showers. There is a low chance, about 30%, of heavier showers or thunderstorms, favoring but not limited to southern coastal areas of Trinidad. In the event of a heavy downpour, please be aware that gusty winds and street flooding are possible, so take care if you're traveling today. For today, Trinidad can expect a maximum temperature of 33 degrees Celsius and a minimum of 24 degrees Celsius. In Tobago, the maximum temperature will reach 31 degrees Celsius with a minimum of 25 degrees Celsius. With humidity factored in, the heat index will make it feel like 37 degrees Celsius in Trinidad and 35 degrees Celsius in Tobago, so please remember to stay hydrated throughout the day. Looking at sea conditions, seas are slight to moderate with wave heights of up to 1.3 meters in open waters and near 0.5 meters in sheltered areas. In the 24 hours ending yesterday afternoon, Piarco recorded a trace amount of rainfall while Crown Point received 5.2 millimeters. The monthly cumulative rainfall stands at 12.1 millimeters for Piarco and 30.2 millimeters for Crown Point. The sun rose this morning at 5:46 and will set at 6:18 this evening. For those planning maritime activities today, high tides in Port of Spain will occur at 10:33 this morning and 11:51 tonight, with low tides at 4:28 this morning and 5:11 this afternoon. In Scarborough, high tide will be at 10:49 this morning, with low tides at 4:57 this morning and 5:35 this afternoon. Looking ahead to tomorrow and Wednesday, expect generally sunny and breezy conditions at times, despite the low 30% chance of a few afternoon showers. Tomorrow night will be fair with a gentle breeze, while Wednesday night will start fair before becoming cloudy with periods of showers towards dawn. This has been your weather update for today. Stay alert for those possible heavy showers, especially in southern areas, and remember to drive with caution if you encounter any street flooding. From all of us at New Era TT Radio, have a wonderful Monday.
S&H Rumbox, 137 Western Main Road, St. James, for all your retail and wholesale needs for alcohol and non-alcoholic beverages. Call us at 686-0599 or visit us at 137 Western Main Road, St. James. S&H Rumbox, drinking out of the box.
Advertise with us on New Era TT Radio, the fastest growing streaming platform for talk in Trinidad and Tobago. Audio and video ads welcome. Elevate your brand with us. Connect with us at newerattradio@yahoo.com or call us at 299-5156. Now what are you waiting for? Great news, Caribbean. The Breakfast Show is now on M&E TV, bringing you entertaining conversations, vital information, and influential perspectives throughout Trinidad and Tobago and across the Caribbean region. Catch us on Digicel Channel 20, Flow Channel 111, Amplia Channel 117, Blink Channel 109, Tricode Channel 154, and Airlink Channel 10. The Breakfast Show connects with the Caribbean and Trinidad and Tobago like never before. We're now on M&E TV.
Of course, we're back after that break, and we're into our second hour of the Breakfast Show this morning. And of course, we have a guest that should come on to speak with us shortly. Sir Charles, I don't know if you can check on that, please.
No problem.
He would have been sent the link via email, so he should be joining us shortly. That will be Dr. Bishnu Ragoonath, who will be speaking to us. Of course, he's a political scientist. He's a senior lecturer at UE in political science. So we'll have some interesting comments to make on what's happening in terms of the transition to a new government, the cabinet picks, the economy, how he analyzes it from a political point of view. So that's going to be an interesting conversation.
Yeah, I have some more votes for you, Richard. And let me tell whoever goes by the name of Dale Devin, we don't do bullying on this radio station, okay? Don't be a bully, right? You can make your comments, but don't be a bully, right? Adrian Kutu says yes. Well, I gave that already. Alistair Hart, no. Margaret Thomas, no. Susan Jessup, yes. Dale Devin says no. That's the person who's been messaging constantly. Almost, we don't do bullying here, as I say, right? Wells. And we don't do insults either, right?
I have a couple also to add to what we think. Long Islander says no. Charmaine says yes. And Kenwin says yes. And I think that is it for now, Richard.
And Paul Cody's just snuck in with a no. All right?
But I know you said, right?
Yes, no, yes.
All right, so our poll this morning was, are you confident that former Inspector Roger Alexander, as a Minister of Homeland Security, that he being in that position will see an improvement in the crime problem? So we had 46 people voting on the poll this morning in the allotted time. Of the 46 of you that voted, 21 of you said yes, you think there will be an improvement, and 25 of you said no. So it was pretty close. This is one of those close polls where your opinion is divided. Of course, it's early days yet. I mean, he's only been in the position since Saturday. So, but of course, he is a well-known police officer across Trinidad and Tobago. So I think a lot of people are resting on that in terms of their voting. So we'll see how it all plays out. Of course, we're going to try to get him. We're going to try to get him on the program. I have reached out to him a couple of times, but we'll see how it all plays out.
Let me tell you something.
He is the Minister of Homeland Security. Yes, Wendell.
One thing Roger Alexander could be guaranteed of from me is that I would not blame him, just like I didn't blame Martin Joseph. I didn't blame all those ministers under the People's Partnership. I didn't blame those ministers under the PNM. Because it's not a ministerial responsibility. They have responsibility for policy and so on, and for ensuring the police service and the arms get thing. But at the end of the day, they're the ones who have to do the job. Now, Roger Alexander was part of that. So maybe he might have a better sense of how to deal with certain things, right? I mean, he has already issued warnings, threats to the gangs and so on. So I wish him the best, but I wouldn't be one of those who would block him if things don't go his way. Trust me.
Well, they've given themselves...
I didn't do it to nobody before him, and I wouldn't do it to him either.
Well, they've given themselves 6 months to give an improvement. So we'll see how it all goes, I guess. That's what we could say. Well, I mean, we have our interview coming up now in our Let's Talk segment. And we will be speaking with Dr. Bishnu Ragoonath. All right, good morning, Ms. Dr. Ragoonath, and thanks for joining us on the Breakfast Show. We appreciate you taking the time to speak with us this morning.
Good morning.
Morning, Dr. Ragoonath. Thanks for joining us on the best show. And whatever you're doing, keep doing it. I don't know, like it decreasing your age.
Let's put it like this: you have to try and keep it that way.
All right, I hear you.
So, Dr. Ragoonath, I mean, there was so much. I mean, of course, you're a political scientist, you're a senior lecturer at UE in political science. So there was a lot to marinate over in this general election that took place last week, Monday. What's your overall view of the election and the results? And were you surprised by the level of the defeat of the People's National Movement?
So let's start with the easiest question. Was I surprised? Yes. To be honest with you, I mean, until the day before the election, or in fact, even until the election morning, I was telling people, I says, we probably get a result where, the UNC has been saying everybody wins. Well, I was saying everybody will win. We will get a result 2021. But the point about it is that I did not think that the PNM would have lost so many supporters within the context of that election. And I think I'm not saying that I'm not giving credit to the UNC, but I'm saying simply that we have continued a trend that we have started long time ago, where a party does not win an election, but rather whoever is in government loses. And this is a clear case where the PNM lost the election.
What do you think accounted for 102,000 voters not voting for the PNM in comparison to 2020? I mean, that's a huge percentage that I don't think it has ever happened before. I mean, you are the political analyst and stuff, so there may be records that date back that indicate something like that, but it was a huge loss for the PNM in terms of those voters, 100,000 plus.
Definitely, and there's only one word for that: disrespect. The members of the party felt disrespected, and disrespect is not only about is not limited to any one issue. There are a variety of issues, a series of issues which happened and occurred that led the membership of the party to feel so disrespected that they could not go out there and vote for a party that they have supported for so long. And mind you, they were not going to transfer their vote to anybody else. So the mere fact that they did not transfer their vote to anybody else simply said that they weren't won over by somebody else. So the 102,000 people who stayed away from the PNM felt disrespected. Let's start by their political leader, who decided upon himself that he was the man who campaigned for one man, one vote way back in when he was in opposition. And when he became prime minister, he realized, and political leader, he realized, well, look, this one man, one vote thing ain't going to work, you know. I want to decide who I going to give it to. And it was the final straw, I think. But the disrespect didn't start there. It started a long time before. So, for instance, when we were talking about the crime and the cost of living and everything else, they were tone deaf. They weren't listening to us. They weren't listening to their own members. Their own members were being affected by crime. But they had security. They had their own police protection. What did their membership have? Then you come to things like the salary increases. And remember Keith Rowley saying that, hey, look, I take it upon myself. I given us the 47% increase. But for public servants and for everybody else, take 4%. And that, to me, was another level of disrespect and disregard to your membership. And your membership decided, well, look, enough is enough. We're not going to take this any longer. The party doesn't belong to you. You know, I use the analogy in the case of Tobago. Watson Duke once said the PDP is his own, and if I don't like you, get out of my party, which ultimately led to 13 people or 14 people resigning from the PDP and going off to form their own party. Well, in this particular case, the membership of the PNM tell Rowley, we don't want you. And it is not your own party to decide how you're going to deal with it. Let's get rid of it. And that's the context in which I talk about that issue.
Now, Dr. Ragoonath, you're using the word disrespect. I use the word arrogance because clearly it's arrogance on behalf of some people. Why we are in the position we're in. But at one point in time, I almost felt, I mean, I didn't say it on radio, but because we only just back on radio a month ago, I was telling people, it's almost like if PNM wanted to lose an election. The decisions that they were taking and the moves that they were making, it's almost like if they said, well, we want to lose. And I think they also banked on the fact that the government, the opposition, was so despised between 2010 and 2015 that they will get away with it.
Well, let's put it like this. On Thursday morning, on Wednesday evening, the PNM had their general council meeting. On Thursday morning, there was a front page picture on the Express, I believe it was, with Penelope Beckles, Foster Cummins, and Nyan Gadri Dolly coming out of Balize House. And they couldn't have been happier. Now, of course, the suggestion or the issue is that they were just selected Penelope to be the opposition leader. But then somebody wrote me and asked me, hey, Hiena, when some people just lose an election, How come they happy so? Right? Why they happy so? And my concern here was simply, yes, to a large extent, I am not sure that the PNM really wanted to win this election because they know the deep hole that we are in as a country, and how do we get out of it? And one of the things that I've said, and I've been saying even leading up to the election day, was simply, I am not hearing the ideas from the PNM that will take us out of the hole that we are in. In fact, this is one election campaign where the PNM was reactive rather than proactive in terms of their proposals and so on. And they wrote their manifesto on a nightly basis because their manifesto literally, when I say on a nightly basis, take for instance, the UNC came up with a proposal. We're going to send doctors to the homes of the old people. Next day or 2 days later, PNM comes up and say, well, we're going to have online doctors for the old people. So it was not they were making the policy. They were following things that the UNC had been proposing and now adjusting it so that it makes sense to them. And that in that context, I am not sure that they were proactive enough and they were merely reacting to the UNC's proposal. So in that led me to think, well, look, do they have any real ideas as to how to take us out of this hole? And I kept on saying, well, I'm not sure that they have any ideas. Because yes, you have the Minister of Finance coming and saying, I know how to move money around. But moving money around is one thing. Getting the money first to move it around is the other thing. And we didn't hear any real ideas about that. We know after Dragon Gas died, literally, after the OFAC license was taken away, that clearly there was a concern, where we getting the money from? And of course, you had those other supporters saying, well, look, we're drilling wells in 6 offshore fields in Trinidad, so hopefully when that come in, but that would never have brought in the amount of gas that we needed, that we were supposed to get from
Dragon
field.
From Dragon, yeah. You know, Dr. Ragoonath, I hear you, and of course the PNM, but both parties seemed a little in disarray when the election process started, because you had a bleed of people coming from the UNC moving across to the PNM, and you had some PNM people, some high-profile people moving across to the UNC. Then you had the political leader of the PNM not being the prime minister because of the handing of the baton, which in itself, and the process, which you articulated, the process was seen as democratic in terms of going to a convention and having people select Stuart Young in that kind of way. Fast forward, they've lost the elections, and the opposition leader, who theoretically should have been Stuart Young, following the logical process, and Wendell always likes to tell me, the discipline of the PNM will kick in. Well, obviously, there was some sort of power struggle of some sort. I don't know how you analyze it as a political analyst, to get to Penelope Beckles-Robinson as the opposition leader. Obviously, people would have been lobbying for votes, and I'm sure Dr. Rowley may have been lobbying for Stuart Young to be the leader of the opposition. What's your take in that curious changeover from who was the prime minister for a short period, moving over to a different leader in terms of the parliamentary seats?
Well, let's put it like this. Penelope Beckles, Foster Cummings, and others recognized that they were up against a challenge when they even after they lost the election. Pete Rowley clearly wanted Stuart Young. He had promised Stuart Young a long time. He was apparently still fighting the case for Stuart Young after the election, that Stuart Young should be the leader of the opposition. And what did we see during the course of the morning leading up to General Council meeting on Wednesday afternoon? Well, the first thing that they did was simply Penelope Beckles went and got a letter signed by 6 of her colleagues to say, appoint me as opposition leader. And so before they got to General Council, Penelope Beckles was here displaying this letter to the media. Here it is. Several of the elected members of Parliament, Colman Burke, Nayan Gatsby Dolly, Noriga, who was it?
Marvin Gonzalez was one too.
Yeah. Keith Scotland too.
Keith Scotland. Here it is that she's presenting this letter to the membership and saying, I have a majority support. So don't let anybody come in on Balize House to bully Olia the same way they bullied Olia in January when we General Council, there was the uproar that General Council never approved the transfer of power from Rowley to Young. But after they come out of General Council, remember that 9/11 vote in Tobago? And when there was the uproar in Trinidad, the membership never got it. Jennifer Batiste made a second noise before General Council in January. And when she went to General Council in January, they all came out very quiet and said, all of us supporting Stuart Young.
But Dr. Ragoonath, we had a very similar situation in 2010. I don't know why people forget that. The exact same thing happened in 2010 when Mr. Manning had won his seat. He was Prime Minister, won his seat.
Yeah.
And Dr. Rowley became opposition leader by just getting 6 signatures, It happened the same way,
Right. So this was the clear concern that Penelope Beckles and they decided they wasn't going to take the risk of going to General Council because clearly General Council could be bullied, my words, not anybody else's words, could be bullied into supporting whatever the political leader is saying. And the mere fact that Keith Rowley had decided, I am going to General Council, and after I speak at General Council, I will then submit my resignation, which will not take effect the same day, but will take effect as of tomorrow morning, which was May 1st. And that was the concern that he was still going to keep control over General Council until he gets his way. So it is in that regard that Penelope Beckles took in front and said, it ain't going to happen this time around. I go in and get my signature. So she went and she got her signatures. And people who supported her in Tobago came back and supported her in Trinidad and made sure that. So once they went to General Council with that letter, it was hardly unlikely that Rowley, and more importantly, she went to the media before and showed them the letter and say, let General Council come and tell us something.
So what was Dr. Rowley's eventual removal of the deputy political leaders of Con Imber and Dr. Nayan Gatsby Dolly more of a reproach for what they did in that meeting rather than how he couched it, that he was, because he resigned as political leader, all the deputies had to go. He couched it, I think, in something along that lines. But was it more of a
vindictiveness? Yeah, that's what you're looking for.
I didn't want to say it.
I keep it quiet in this one.
Let's talk about the new government, Dr. Ragoonath. Of course, the UNC won. Cabinet was sworn in on Saturday. The Prime Minister held a press conference that said, well, they have to see what's in what state they meet the economy in and what money there is available, which I always take with a pinch of salt, because you must know what state the economy is in. When you're making all of these promises, you must know. So what was your plan in terms of fulfilling these promises? Because you are privy to the IMF reports, you're privy to the Standard & Poor's reports, you're privy to the central bank reports, you are privy to a lot of these the documents for finance, what's in the Heritage and Stabilization Fund, all of those are public documents that are accessible. because we live in a democracy. So, and plus, you also sit on JSCs and stuff that investigate issues of the financial health of the country. Is it legitimate, in your opinion, for the current government to come to the population and say, we just saw the books and oh my God, we are astonished and we will have to take some time to fulfill some of our promises?
That is basically the role of every government. Bear in mind two things. One, what is our manifesto or what are manifesto promises? Manifesto promises are really promises that we're going to implement. Not necessarily in the first 100 days or the first 6 months. It gives us, we have 5 years to implement it. Now, my concern here is simply one which says, okay, so I promise public servants a 10% increase in salaries. Yes, I'm going to give them the 10% increase in salaries. Does that mean I have to give them it immediately? Does that mean that I could give them their 10% increase in salaries for those who need a living wage and salary today, but I'll tell them that they can't get their back pay, which amongst the billions, literally, in the first year, that the government will have to probably find a mechanism, under the NER, they had cut 10% of their salaries, but they then had to pay them back and they give it through bonds and whatever else. So those are things that we have to find out. The Minister of Finance came on in an interview immediately on Saturday and says, well, we're going to have to refund everybody who paid property tax. Does that refund mean that, he didn't say give a timeline, but clearly that refund could come anywhere between now and the next 5 years. We don't know. And that is the context in which manifesto promises are made. What you now have to figure out is, and what any government has to do, they now have to figure out what, what's your cash in hand that you could use and how you could use it to deal with priority issues. And those are some of the things. And now, take for instance, there was this whole concern about crime and whatever else. Still is a concern. Roger Alexander went and made several kinds of promises and said, look, we're going to deal with the crime situation in Trinidad. What we need now is to deal with it using advanced technology. So we're going to now have to bring in the technology. That is going to cost money. Is that going to be a priority, for instance, against finishing a school that the UNC had started in 2015 but never completed, and it was left abandoned for the last 10 years? Those are the kinds of things now where the UNC is now going to have to kind of come out there now and in a way show that we have our promises, we know what we promised, but we're going to have to tailor it in such a way that in the delivery and the rollout, we could only do X amount of things based on what we have.
So you think that's obviously the conversation they're going to have with the country?
Definitely. That is the conversation they're going to have.
What do you thought of the cabinet picks? Did you have in terms of the overview? I mean, we were talking about it earlier this morning, and some people we don't really know that well in terms of public life and stuff like that. I mean, some you know, but some you don't. And I don't know what's your sense of the cabinet picks. Do you see any methodology in terms of why she would have selected certain people for certain positions?
Well, let's start with what she did. And in fact, after the pick of the Attorney General, John Jeremy, there was, some degree of an uproar. I'm not sure whether it was big enough, but there was some degree of an uproar. How come she bypassed all the so-called bright UNC lawyers and go and put John Jeremy? And what she did and came back with 2 days later on Saturday was that she made sure that every member of her party who won their seats got a posting. Some either you became a minister, junior minister, or parliamentary secretary, and even the youngest person in the batch, the young lady from Princeton, who has no political experience, guess what? She's going to be deputy speaker because there's nobody else left to give deputy speaker to. So what she did was simply try to do and ensure that every member of her parliament who won their seats got a position. As to what positions they got, now we know that some people were shadow ministers in the previous government. So, for instance, Dave Tanku was the shadow minister of finance. Rudal Munlal, however, was shadow minister of security and something else, but not energy, because David Lee was the one who was talking about energy in the parliament. But here we see now where she has decided to switch, given certain people some portfolios. The mere fact that most of them have been, or who have gotten portfolios, would have been shadow ministers. That was to be expected. And what I had, however, expected was that she'd probably bring in a little bit more technocrats to head some of the more critical ministries. But she decided to go with what she had and kept her technocrats to the minimum level. And I mean, I have no problem with that. So the party cannot, or the rank and file membership of the party can't go and complain at all and say, well, look, we vote for she and we vote for the party, and she bypassed the people we voted for. We can't complain.
But what do you think of this split in the Ministry of National Security between Ministry of Defense and Ministry of Homeland Security?
But that was something that they had spoken to a long time, long before the 2025 elections. In fact, if you remember correctly, Gary Griffith claimed that was his idea since whenever, and but I know for a fact that I think even leading up to the 2020 elections, they had that suggestion that they should split that ministry, Homeland Security. Now, mind you, Keith Rowley attempted to do that when he brought in Scotland to see about police, but he did not name it as a separate ministry.
Yeah.
So when Mr. Scotland came in as the minister responsible for the policing and so forth, that was the beginning, literally, of that case that we now see here that actually came about. Now, and I agree. So, for instance, and in fact, one of the things I've always said that Trinidad and Tobago, in terms of national security, broad-based national security, was very, very, very backward in the context of simply saying, how are we moving forward? You know, Trinidad and Tobago is the only country that we still use paper forms when we come into the airport to fill in to get through immigration and so on.
Well, Grenada does it.
Another country in the Caribbean going electronic.
No, Grenada does it.
Oh, Grenada does it.
Grenada actually uses our form. It's very same form.
Well, all right. But the point about it, when you look at it, I mean, why and who is responsible? Who was responsible in the Ministry of National Security to say, why can't we move along with the times? And you have now to come back to the Ministry of National Security and say, what is going on here? Why are things not changing the way and as fast as they should? And those are some of the things now that we have to ask ourselves. So now that you have a Ministry of Security, well, whatever is that,
Homeland Security,
and the other one that falls under
Minister of Defense. Yeah, Ministry of Defense.
Ministry of Defense, and that's supposed to be defense, dealing with border controls and all of those things. So hopefully we'll see progress in some of those areas.
Hopefully. All right.
Yeah, I mean, it's are you hopeful? You know, a lot of times when we discuss stuff with political analysts and and you had a vote of 53% of the electorate roughly voting, and so roughly 47% not voting or apathetic about voting. What is your sense of the mood of the country? Do you see Trinidad and Tobago as a confident, optimistic place, or do you see it as being not that?
Well, let's put it like this: the support that so starting with that voter turnout, that sends a very clear message. We are in trouble. People are not convinced that politics is going to save us or politics could lead us where we want to go. We're not convinced. But again, having said that, mind you, I say if that 100,000 people had turned out for the PNM, we would have had a totally different scenario. So I don't want to say clear that it's a clear signal that reduction in the voter turnout is a bad message. It probably is a good message that people have decided to use their democratic right, and it is also your democratic right not to vote. So they have used their democratic right. So I don't think we are in that much of a trouble. As to the concern as to how we move forward, I think many people were concerned as to the proposals coming, and I mean we had put literally all our belief that if we didn't have dragon gas, we could cook. Well, now I think people are now saying, well, all right, fine. If Keith Rowley didn't have a solution how to get out of that we cook scenario, maybe this party may give us some option. I know for a fact that the people in Tobago feels overwhelmed that they have gotten rid of the PNM, whether that is in their interest or not. I mean, on election night, I actually said that Tobago was the biggest loser in the election because they were probably hoping for 2021 or at least 2019 too, so that their too could have really made a difference in determining who would be government and they could deal with their demands. Of course, with the UNC having the significant majority that it has, the UNC doesn't have to bow to any pressures from the TPP.
Yeah.
And that is going to be the concern for Tobagonians as to whether on how they're going to get what they want in the process. So those are some of the issues as we move forward. But to answer your question, I think there's a little bit more hope now that things could get better rather than where we were a year ago, 6 months ago.
All right. Well, Dr. Ragoonath, thanks so much for joining us on the Breakfast Show. Because I'm sure we'll speak to you again because, politics evolves and shifts and turns. And so we'll have conversations again about where Trinidad and Tobago is going politically and economically in the future. But thanks so much for joining us this morning. We appreciate it.
It's been my pleasure.
All right.
Good morning to you.
Okay, great. So that was Dr. Bishnu Ragoonath, political scientist, and of course a senior lecturer at UE, discussing the situation in terms of the politics coming from the elections, the cabinet picks, confidence, hope, optimism. Those are all important things. Those are all important things for an economy. Yeah,
especially we have to stay in this space, Richard, which a lot of us are going to be staying in this space.
Yeah. So you want a government to succeed, because when a government succeeds, it lifts the entire country.
We all succeed.
Yeah. So we all succeed. So you want a government to succeed. So I think a lot of people would want whoever is in government, and of course in this case it's the UNC. You want the UNC to succeed. You want them to succeed in terms of dealing with crime. You want them to succeed in terms of dealing with the energy sector, because you want the country to succeed. You want people to have a better standard of living, and to be more and more prosperous. So, will all of that happen? Because we will see. It will all play out right in front of our eyes.
Yep.
And we'll have a lot of those conversations here on this program. So
Just I saw a message from somebody by the name of Donnell about the information about Grenada. I normally say I stand corrected, but the last time I went Grenada, which was just over a year ago, I did in fact have to use a form. So if you're saying it's now paperless, no problem. I will accept, well, more people I guess would message. I can't accept you alone, Donald. Right? But I trust you know what you're speaking about, that Grenada is also now paperless. I know Jamaica is. I know that for sure because
that always seems to be, and I know a lot of our Caribbean neighbors may be watching us right now on M&E TV, but Trinidad always seems to be behind the curve in some of those things, and it's annoying.
Richard, we had the machines. The machines.
It's annoying.
They were at the airport. And all of a sudden,
we've had these conversations when it upsets us and we get annoyed. And like, why does it take so long for things to transition to be better?
I go Jamaica, and Jamaica, you're filling out an online form before you get there, right? When you get there, they ask you for your vaccination card, right? Your immunization for yellow fever. You go through the airport, you go to the machines immediately. You press in your information, a picture is taken of you, and it comes out the machine. You walk to immigration, they ask you what you're here for, how long you're staying, or what you have to declare, and you're out the airport and go on your way.
This is where?
Check back. Richard, just check, Richard, sorry, just check backstage, see if Stephen is there.
Not yet.
Okay. So we are going to be speaking with Mr. Steven Cadiz, former government minister. He was Minister of Transport in the People's Partnership government. He was Member of Parliament for Chaguanas East. So we're going to speak with him. He had a lot to say on the late coming and on the size of the government. So let's find out. Let's hear what he has.
I don't know what something is. He's telling me he's backstage.
He said he's backstage?
Yeah.
Tell him to click enter studio.
Okay.
All right, so Owen Johnson has confirmed that Grenada form is done online, and he will know. Morning, Owen. He is one person who will know. Yeah, so I take it that so it's Dr. Ragoonath may be right. It might be us alone in the Caribbean with this ridiculous form, and sometimes you're on a plane, Richard, and they have no forms, So when you reach the airport, you have to get the form. So there's a whole bunch of people standing up at the side filling out the form before they get to the immigration officer. Ridiculous.
Annoying. No, I know they said they were moving to online. Wasn't there something that came out about that recently, just before the elections?
Richard, we had the machines. What are you saying? When Edmund Dillon became National Security Minister, the machines were at the airport.
Richard, he says that the host has to let him in because he's backstage.
He's not backstage, but you can see whether he's backstage, Sir Charles.
Well,
I feel as when you see that name. Anyway, I'm a beer.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know why he's not. I'm not seeing him. He has to click enter studio. Did he click enter studio?
That's probably what he has not done.
He said he did that, and he's waiting on it. It says hosts have to let you in.
He sure he announced StreamYard?
But it's whatever link you all sent.
No, but we sent the link. No, we sent the link. So, but I'm not seeing him backstage. Obviously, he didn't click enter studio. All I can suggest to you, Sir Charles, is for him to exit and do it again and click enter studio. And if that doesn't work, we'll have to speak to him via phone.
So Donald has clarified who he is. He is from Grenada Broadcasting Network. Well, happy to have you here. You could broadcast our program, Just talk to Sir Charles, Cha-ching,
What's that?
cha-ching.
What you said, sorry?
Donald is from Grenada Broadcasting Network.
Oh, okay, right. So he's confirming. So he put you. What he's doing is putting you in your place, Wendell.
Yeah.
Because you're saying, well, I don't know. You talking about I don't know how much he know and if it's true or not.
But hold on, I don't know who Donald is. Yeah, but I don't know who Donald is, but I know who Owen Johnson is, and I know for sure he ain't gonna lead me astray.
But Trinidad takes too long. Trinidad takes too long to deal with some of those issues, and it's annoying. It's annoying. And I mean, and not even other. Well, the whole renewal of driver's permits online.
Guys, let me interrupt you. So we have to do interview online on the phone. So I have Stephen on the phone. So Mr. Cadiz, good morning to you.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning, Mr. Cadiz. How are you? Long time no hear from. I know we would have had a few battles on social media, but long time no hear from.
Back in the day.
A little battle every now and again is a good thing, not to worry.
Exactly. Well, you as a former minister, I know you had an opinion lately in terms of the government that was recently sworn in, and of course about the apparent tardiness of the Prime Minister. Fill us in. Let us hear what you have to say.
Well, I mean, maybe I rushed that a little bit. All right. Mm-hmm. I'm a person that I believe that one thing that sets the pace is your timing. All right. Now there are people who are habitual, latecomers, and they still perform perfectly well and everything. I just have a pet peeve about time, and I really and truly felt that at this very, very early stage, that we are calling on the people of this country to wake up to the fact that we have to do things in a different way, and we have to perform. And I just felt that, and I was a bit annoyed. I just felt that here it is that you have a perfect head start, okay, and we blew it. And okay, I know there were 2 accidents on the highway, this, that, all of that I'm aware of. But then again, as I said in my post, you need to be able to prepare for any eventuality. And something as critical as the swearing in of your cabinet, I just felt that maybe the wrong message was being sent. But then afterwards, I realized, you don't know all the facts. So maybe you were just a little rushed in that statement.
So you spoke too soon.
I think it was a legitimate expectation that you'd be on time. I think I don't see anything wrong with that.
Yes, the thing is with and again, I make it my business, okay? And every single thing that I do, if I give you a time, I make it my business of being on time all the time. And I think it is out of respect for the other people. I think that's the biggest issue. And it shows a level of discipline that that people soon enough are going to say, you see that man, that when I was in office, I would go to a meeting, they invite me for 9 o'clock, I am there at 5 to 9, and people still putting out things on the tables and all this kind of thing. And I would tell whoever was organizing the meeting, I said, listen, I am here, and if by 9:15 this meeting does not start, I am gone. So you all figure out what you're all going to do. It's just me personally as a form of discipline in being able to do the right thing, all the time.
I hear you.
So Mr. Cadiz, telling me something in terms of the election. First of all, were you surprised at the level of the UNC win in this election?
I think the UNC ran an absolutely fantastic campaign. There was very, very little that people could criticize, if anything at all. I thought the campaign was very well orchestrated. It was managed very, very well. And I think that gave the population a level of real comfort that the UNC can, in fact, make this thing happen, as against the PNM, who looked to be in total disarray. Okay? And after the PNM has been in office for so many times, to really and truly show the population you don't know what you're doing and how to do it. I felt that the population, either staunch UNC supporters and the fringe supporters, really felt that this is a perfect, legitimate time to rout the PNM, and hence the reason for that great. Really and truly a substantial win for the UNC.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree. Mr. Cadiz, if we could just stick up in there, and we're gonna break for the news, and then we'll come back and do another 10 minutes. Okay?
Yeah.
Just hold
right. Yeah.
The news you need, the clarity you deserve. Local, regional, global. This is Net Radio News Now.
Good morning. This is Amanda Mitchell with the news on New Era TT Radio for Monday, May 5th, 2025. Prime Minister Kamla Persad-Bissessar's new cabinet has begun its first full week in office after being sworn in at President's House. The administration features 25 ministries with several structural changes from the previous government. John Jeremy serves as Attorney General, while Davindranath Tanku takes on the crucial portfolio of Minister of Finance. Dr. Rudal Munalal heads the Ministry of Energy and Energy Industries, with Ernesto Quisar serving as minister in that ministry. The national security portfolio has been divided into two distinct ministries, with Roger Alexander as Minister of Homeland Security and Wayne Sturge as Minister of Defence. The Tobago People's Party has reaffirmed it will not join Prime Minister Persad-Bissessar's cabinet. TPP Deputy Political Leader Dr. Faith Brebnor stated, "Our MPs are there to negotiate for Tobago, not to join anyone's cabinet." She emphasized that the party's two representatives will vote independently on issues affecting Tobago. The Prime Minister has promised to work with the Tobago House of Assembly on long-delayed autonomy legislation, stating, "We'll be looking at a model that truly reflects what we sing in our anthem. Side by side we stand, Trinidad and Tobago." A 21-year-old woman is recovering after being stabbed multiple times during an attempted robbery on the El Socorro walkover. The victim was walking towards DHL when a man tried to grab her handbag. When she resisted, the assailant stabbed her in the back, neck, and scalp before fleeing empty-handed. The woman's father took her to hospital, where she remains in stable condition. She is expected to undergo a CT scan as Barataria police continue their investigation. WASA reports repairs are progressing at the Matura water treatment plant following a shutdown caused by adverse weather and mechanical failure. Affected communities include Matura, Salibia, Pierre Street, Grey Trace, Orozco Bay Road, and Mendoza Street. Full restoration is expected by Thursday, with truck-borne water being distributed in the interim and a temporary supply schedule in place for Toco, Matura, and Salibia. You're listening to news on New Era TT Radio. In business news, two leading business organizations have welcomed the appointment of the new cabinet while calling for urgent action on economic reform. The Trinidad and Tobago Chamber of Industry and Commerce said it looks forward to meaningful engagement with the government on critical policy areas, including trade facilitation, ease of doing business, and economic diversification. The Energy Chamber highlighted the need to accelerate new gas field development, warning that without investment in new gas developments, the future of Trinidad's energy sector is uncertain, with serious implications for government revenue and foreign exchange availability. In international news, Brazilian police have thwarted a bomb attack planned for Lady Gaga's concert on Copacabana Beach in Rio de Janeiro. Authorities arrested the alleged mastermind and a teenager involved in the plot, which police say was aimed at gaining notoriety on social media. The concert, which drew over 2 million attendees, was secured by 5,000 officers with metal detectors, drones, and facial recognition cameras. Lady Gaga's team stated they learned about the threat only from media reports the morning after the event. That brings us to the end of our headlines for today. I'm Amanda Mitchell for New Era TT Radio. The Breakfast Show with Wendell, Richard, and Sir Charles continues right after this short break. And to our viewers watching via the stream on M&E TV across all local cable providers, thank you for joining us.
That was News Now. Stay informed with New Era TT Radio. Net Radio.
All right, so we are back, and of course, we are speaking to Steven Cadiz about politics, the elections, and of course, he was a former minister under the People's Partnership. He knows a little bit about the UNC, don't you?
What do you think about the size of the cabinet, Mr. Cadiz? Because we have quite a bit of ministries that have re-emerged, like tertiary education. We have ministries that have been split. We have two ministers in some ministries and so. What do you think about the size of the cabinet?
Well, I mean, when you look at the win that was given to the UNC and the partnerships that were created to ensure of that win between Labour and EP and other organizations, I guess and one has to find a way to satisfy that success. I agree that the size of the cabinet is a large cabinet compared to previous administrations, but again, it's politics. Every single thing involved in government is all politics, and therefore you have to find ways and means of rewarding, if you want to call it that, which is basically what it is. So yeah, I mean, I whether the cabinet is going to be 12 people, 15 people, 20, 24, I guess that is a decision up to the Prime Minister as to how to do that.
What do you think of the people in some of the key positions in the cabinet? Because some of them would have been your colleagues when you were in the People's Partnership. So what do you think of some of those cabinet picks?
Let me see I would say for all intents and purposes, there are people there who are experienced in their particular field. But again, I mean, when I was asked to join the cabinet as Minister of Trade, okay, I have my own business and what have you. Do I have experience in running a ministry and running, no, the answer to that was no. Do I know anything about the work of the ministry that I was put in? Well, I went into 3 ministries, and I would say that, once you are capable of doing certain things, it's very, very easy to acclimatize to a ministry. Certain ministries, for instance, whether it is energy or finance, health, I think that you do require some knowledge of the particular field that you're being asked to manage. So in that respect, we need to make sure that the people who are being put into those ministries have some idea of what it is going to take to be able to run the ministry. Otherwise, it's a management issue. And if you can manage, basically you can go into any ministry. I mean, the ministries have permanent secretaries that are very knowledgeable as to the workings of the ministry, and it doesn't take long to really and truly get up to speed working in any ministry.
Well, you're giving a kind of diplomatic answer. I mean, rather than, because some of these guys.
But where are you going to find? You have a brand new government coming in. Where are you going to find experienced persons, experienced ministers to run every ministry? It's just not going to happen. That is not practical to figure out that is what is going to happen. I mean, the PNM goes through the same thing. The PNM, for instance, had Minister Hines as the Minister of National Security. And how long is it that the people in the country were calling for his removal? Because he was just very inept at managing the ministry, far less for creating a good, a real first-class Ministry of National Security. He was very inept at managing, and I would say anything, because he worked in a number of ministries before that. So it's not a case of you have so much experience in every single person to be able to put into a ministry. And that's what I'm saying. Certain ministries, you need to have a fairly good idea of what it is that you're going to be doing. Other than that, management skills, because that is what it is. You have the permanent secretary who runs the day-to-day business of the ministry. The minister is there to carry out government policy. So if it is that the government, and the cabinet determines, and the government determines what the policy on a particular issue is going to be, and it is for the minister now to ensure that happens. So you cannot be, again, you cannot be a jack of all trades and experience in every single thing. It's just not going to happen.
Yeah. But I mean, a lot of the names are new, and me certainly to Wendell and myself, and I think to a lot of the country, a lot of the names are new. We have no sense of reference for them and their performance and their managerial skills that you're talking about. And so it's early days yet. So of course, we have to give them the benefit of the doubt and see how it all plays out in terms of the management of the respective ministerial portfolios.
Yes, I mean, and I really and truly feel that some of them, you kind of ask yourself the question, is that going to work? But then, I would say in the majority of cases that the placement has really and truly, I don't think you can judge that. Maybe not for another couple months, to wait and see how quick can people acclimatize to a particular ministry.
Are you surprised that Jack Warner didn't take up a position in the government?
I don't think. I mean, Jack Warner, of course, is a very, very influential individual. I mean, make no mistake. I mean, I've known Jack for a long time, and he's very good at what he does. All right. Maybe the Prime Minister felt that now is not the time for Jack Warner to be in a ministerial portfolio. You never know. Things change. Huh? I mean, in 6 months' time, you might see people being changed out or and what have you, because they've just not been able to grasp their responsibilities and are not performing. So we wait and see. But all governments do it. Huh? There's always going to be a moving around of ministerial portfolios and people being excluded or added.
Yeah, we spoke to Dr. Bishnu Ragoonath a little while ago, and he said, and I had asked him a question about how does he assess the mood of the country? You know, is the country hopeful? Is it optimistic? What's your sense?
I think that and I mean, I've posted this before, that the way the Rowley administration spoke to the citizens of this country, I think people were just disgusted and fed up of being constantly berated, and we are being blamed for every single thing that went wrong. They took absolutely no responsibility for anything. And I think, when you look at the Minister of Finance making the statement about the famous raising the price of gas 3 times and they didn't riot, you have people who are working on salaries from 10 years ago with no increase and what have you, and you then go and you give yourself a pension of $87,000 a month. I mean, you're just rubbing it in the faces of the population. And I think
I'm glad you raised that, Mr. Cadiz, because now that the government has changed, do you expect that they will roll back on that issue of that pay increase? Because all of this government is bigger than the last government, and they're all going to be getting that new ministerial salary. They're all going to be entitled now to the different pensions. Do you expect them to roll back on that? Because they campaigned heavily on that.
That's difficult to do from a legal point of view.
Yes, and I mean, I think that is a good question. And I think the other question you might want to ask yourself is this business of a tax-free, duty-free vehicle every 2 years, with no limit as to the value of the vehicle and what have you. I think those are things that the Prime Minister should look at. I have no problem with a parliamentarian being able to get a little break on a vehicle if they're using it for their parliamentary work. Okay, you can imagine you are the member of parliament for San Grande Toco, and the amount of driving. I mean, Matlot is 3 hours away. All right, so what I'm saying is that I don't have a problem with an allowance like that. But should we have an unlimited value on that vehicle, and should it be every 2 years, or should it be one vehicle, for instance, in a 5-year term, okay, with a limit, okay, a maximum amount that you're going to be able to claim? So I think there are things like that that should be looked at, of where the people come first and the cabinet, the parliamentarians come second. So if you can't, for instance, deal with all of these outstanding agreements, pay agreements, salary agreements, and what have you, for 9 years and 10 years and what have you, then you need to be mindful of that. You need to fix these things before you go and give yourself a raise. And I really and truly feel that the Salary Review Commission, sure, they could put in any amount that they feel is right, but it is up to the government to say we are not going to accept that until such time as everybody else is settled. I think that, to me, is what should be done. And I think that would go down extremely well with the population, that we are not going to take the salary increase, okay, until we settle all of these other agreements. And I think it is only fair.
Yeah. All right.
Well, I mean, I think maybe that horse is bolted from a legal perspective. But, we'll see how it all plays out.
Yes, from a legal stance, it's there and it's already in. But you don't have to accept it, huh?
Yeah, but legally we have property tax, and they've already said they're going to repeal that and give people back a refund.
Yeah, but when you mess with people's income and say you're rolling it back, there are consequences from a legal perspective. Because remember, it's not just parliamentarians. You're talking about judges.
No, I'm speaking specifically for parliamentarians here.
So we'll see how it all plays. Well, I don't know how they're going to deal with it.
No, but I really and truly feel that the parliamentarians need to be cognizant of the fact that they are the servants. Okay?
Yeah.
They are the real servants to the population, and they should be the last in line to receive any new increase or any kind of break in taxes and what have you. And before you can't do that, and yet still you have these tens of thousands of people that are being affected by not having their trade their agreements sorted out, and it's not fair to the population.
And just in case people feel I'm attacking the UNC, you have people in the PNM who don't deserve a cent extra. They don't even deserve a seat. Far less.
I want to write that down. Hold on.
Who doesn't deserve a seat, man? Mr. Cadiz, I would love to know who doesn't deserve a seat.
I will reveal it one of these days. People know. Of course, a lot of people know who I'm talking about.
No, we don't. But Stephen, thanks so much for joining us this morning. So we're going to have to close it off. I mean, we're a little bit beyond our time. And so thank you so much for the conversation. And, maybe we'll have to later on again.
Sure. Okay.
Right, Mr. Cadiz, nice chatting with you again.
Yeah.
Okay then.
Right. Yeah.
Of course, that was Steven Cadiz. And of course, just before we go, of course, we want to say, thank you for everybody who's been viewing this program. And we want to tell you to like and subscribe. We have a personal goal. Well, the station has a personal goal of 100,000 subscribers. And so we are on our way to 100,000 subscribers. We're a little way off, but that's what we want. So please like and subscribe. It's important. In terms of the algorithm and stuff on YouTube and on Facebook. And of course, this is what you can also do.
Advertise with us on New Era TT Radio, the fastest growing streaming platform for talk in Trinidad and Tobago. Audio and video ads welcome. Elevate your brand with us. Connect with us at newerattradio@yahoo.com or call us at 299-5156. Now what are you waiting for? Great news, Caribbean. The Breakfast Show is now on M&E TV, bringing you entertaining conversations, vital information, and influential perspectives throughout Trinidad and Tobago and across the Caribbean region. Catch us on Digicel Channel 20, Flow Channel 111, Amplia Channel 117, Blink Channel 109, Tricode Channel 154, and Airlink Channel 10. The Breakfast Show connects with the Caribbean and Trinidad and Tobago like never before. We're now on M&E TV.
So this is where we wrap it up on The Breakfast Show this morning. Have a fantastic day, whatever you do. And remember to smile and laugh. It's great for your health. We'll speak to you bright and early tomorrow morning.
Yep, see you tomorrow morning. And remember, one life. Live it.
Right. This has been The Breakfast Show.
Yeah, 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 yeah. Yeah, 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 yeah. Wake up, it's a brand new dawn. The breakfast show got the vibes turned on. From Maracas Bay to the Savannah line, let's start the day in Caribbean prime. Oh, good vibes rolling through the air. The breakfast show